Cheese Radio podcast, your place for horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. My name is Schmidt, and as always, I'm joined by my good buddy. You guys know him, you love him, Mr. Bro Dinky. Bro, what's up?
Not too much, bud. Just really getting sunk into the new job this week. I haven't posted much. I know I was really kind of trying to focus, and there's just a lot of different things I got to get down, a lot of systems and stuff. So
Sure.
I took a little hiatus, but I'm good. I got some good stuff in the chamber ready to go for this week. So pretty hyped about that. Shout out to everybody who DM'd and hit us up this week. We kind of knew that was coming to an extent, but no, we had some really good conversations as expected, based on our last episode.
Absolutely.
Kind of it's surprising and not to kind of see that a lot of people are sort of in the same place as us mentally, at least, as to where we are sort of in the hobby. And I think tonight's episode is gonna play into that a little bit, which is also kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm
Yeah,
excited
me
for it.
too. Me too. How are things with you, bud?
Good, man. Just coming back off another week of travel. Packing up, changing out the suitcase, hitting the road back again on Monday, back out in the field. So, enjoying the small little bit of weekend that I can get. Again, doing some more honeydew list work and some outdoor stuff. So, it's good to be outside, soaking up some sun rays, getting a little suntan, and
Warm
doing
weather's
God's
here,
work.
finally.
Yes,
I'm also hyped
yes.
that I don't have to fear nice days anymore because uh my crowd isn't so weather dependent, so I can actually enjoy the weather now and not like live in fear of it. Curse every time a day goes over 80, I have to curse. But
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
yeah, yeah. But no, I'm all good now. Everything's really great. So I guess I'm just gonna try to move this along because we have some guests with us, and it's gonna be probably a pretty lengthy one. So let's do some new stuff real quick. I got three quickies. Let's start with Autodromo because we support both the bros and the hoes on this podcast, and this is a collaboration with Hodinky. Autodromo Group B Rally Sport Chronograph. Pretty cool. I actually really like the design,
Yeah.
probably because I get a little bit of a Jujaro vibe from it.
That's exactly what I
Thank
was
you.
thinking. Yes,
Yes.
I was thinking exactly the
Well, the
same thing.
one the one with the black and the orange kind of
Yeah,
totally
yeah.
sings Jujaro for me, which a big Seiko head, so makes sense. 40 millimeter chronograph, 20 mils between the lugs, 13.4 thick, not too bad at all. It's got a Salida SW510 in it.
Okay.
It's a manual wind chrono. Obviously, it's got sort of the motif that comes with Autodromo, where the watch is reminiscent of the dashboard, and yeah, like I said, it kind of reminds me of the Jujaro, so I really like the look of it. And I mean, it comes in at 1450. It's not cheap. It's not crazy
No,
expensive,
no.
but I mean, it is you're getting a chronograph. You're actually getting some complications and stuff. And Autodromo usually with their stuff comes in around 1,000. So I guess it's not crazy.
No, and you think about it, as far as I remember, this is their first mechanical chronograph, I think. I think everything else has been a mecha quartz or
I
some
think you're
type of
right.
hybrid movement. So for this to be a full manual wind, I mean, in the styles and the colors, again, it's all based on the Group B design of cars from the 80s, the rally cars, the outdoor cars. I think this is fantastic. A buddy of mine who owns the OG Autodromo with the turquoise dial,
Yeah, but
he sent it to me right away. I was traveling and I got the ping. He's like, "Uh-oh, I think I'm in trouble." I'm like, well, hey, if you're gonna buy it now before it's gone and four times the price on
yeah.
eBay. So, no, I think it's a hitter. I think it's a really good looking watch, and if you're into that kind of 80s rally car era of design and car enthusiasm, then get it. It's solid.
Yeah, and I think they nailed the colors. The colors are great. Like I,
They're
I
sick.
really
They're
like
sick.
the obviously the one I talked about, the black and orange is great, but they have a green on like a matte, like a
Yeah.
muted green that's really good, and then some other more funky ones for like those like really like brightly colored accented rally cars. So really neat overall.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I
Good
will give
hit.
him that.
Good hit.
Yeah, good hit there. Let's go over to IWC while everybody was wetting themselves over the Ingenieur. They
Womp,
sneakily
womp, womp,
sneakily
womp.
dropped two ceramic case chronographs in 41 millimeter.
Yeah.
Now, before the ceramics were, the Lake Tahoe, right? The white one, the green one, they were
Hmm.
40, almost 45 millimeters. These ones are
Yeah.
41. So you're
Yeah.
getting a much friendlier package. I'm going to assume it's probably pretty nice and light. And these are actually really cool. They come in a color that's called Oceana. It's navy blue.
Yeah. It's navy blue for
And
sure.
then the other one is jet black, which is actually really cool. It's like obsidian.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I mean, look,
badass.
IWC's been doing ceramic for a while. It's nice to see that they're finally scaling their blue ceramic case, which I think only came out in the Mark series, if I'm not mistaken. Finally scaled up to a pilot.
Right.
Especially, with all their new tech and specs, and I think it's a good looking watch. So IWC, people love the design. It's a very, military inspired design. I think it looks great here in the blue. And again, if you're active duty military, like this is a cool watch you can actually wear with your uniform and everything like that. It's not going to be clashing in color. So I think that's pretty cool as well. So I like them. I like them both.
Yeah, I like that they kept the pushers titanium. Little
Yeah, a little
contrast there.
contrast.
Looks
Yeah.
really nice. And then interestingly enough, I guess because pigments are harder to make and blue ceramic is less common, you're looking at 11.7 for the blue, 87.50 for the black. That's a
Yeah.
stark contrast, man.
Yeah. It's as far as I understand, when you do make a blue ceramic, you have to introduce some type of blue element in the ceramic manufacturing to color it blue. The easiest types of ceramic that you'll find are white and black. Those are the easiest ones to get. Everything else in color pigment is much more difficult to obtain because one of the challenges, as a side note here, but one of the challenges of ceramic manufacturing is the fact that as you have to sinter it to bake the material, sometimes the initial color can darken or lighten based on the heat exposure,
Interesting.
and it can change off of what the target color is supposed to be. So it's a little bit more finicky, it's a little bit more invasive, so that's why it's probably a little bit more costly.
Yeah, they somehow made 9 grand seem like a value proposition.
I mean, but again, if you think about the world of ceramic, I
No, I
mean,
know, I know.
that's not that bad
It isn't.
for a ceramic watch. So, it's right there.
You're right. You're right about that. All right. Last one I'm going to hit is this one. I'm sure you've seen it. I think it's a
I have.
Fratello collab with Straum. It's a Norwegian brand, and this watch is inspired by a volcano, which is, I'm not going to lie,
Okay, I didn't know that, but it totally makes sense, and that's exactly what
the
I was thinking
name
it
of the
was.
volcano, and I'm sure it's Jan. It's probably Jan Mayen, but looking at it, it looks like it says John Mayer, and like it makes me really laugh because it's JANMAYEN,
Oh
and
gosh,
I was like, what is this like?
it's a Swedish John Mayer
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, John Mayer, like
or
from the
Norwegian John
no,
Mayer, I
yeah,
should say.
exactly. I was like kind of cackling to myself about that, but yeah, it kind of looks to me like almost like Zin and Grand Seiko went at it, right?
Okay,
Because
I could see
you
that.
get
I
some
could see
crazy
that.
dial work, right? It's got this neat, really textured dial, kind of very bright, vibrant red, and then you get this very tool watch aesthetic, right, with a pretty beefy H link, aggressive steel bezel, right? It's got kind of the best of both worlds there. It's 39 mils by 11.3, so you're getting a pretty solid little package. 100-meter water resistance. I believe they're using the Le Jus Perret movements,
Okay.
which are basically a competitor for ETA
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
284s. Yeah, so 70-hour power reserve. And the neat part about these is they're not doing it by quantity. They're doing it by basically there's a week-long window to get them. So from
We
April
saw
3rd,
that before. What did we see that before? Um, was it Nevada that did that
it
earlier?
might have been.
Where they
That does
opened
ring
the
a bell.
window and it was basically like whatever's ordered, that's what they'll make.
That's what I think is going on here. So from the
Okay.
13th of
That's an
April
interesting way to do it
to the
and
20th
see it
of
again.
April to the
Okay.
20th of April is your window. And if you don't get one, then you're not getting one.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I
Yeah.
think that's a cool way to do these drops because so many people miss out because they are like, okay, we're gonna make 1,500, but if the actual quantity that's requested is 6,000, well, the brand lost out on money and all the customers are unhappy, right? So I think
Yeah,
that's a great way to
I have
do
a
it.
feeling we're going to be touching on this later, but that is definitely a concern. Having been on the other end of things with Strap Habit, that's a real thing. You don't really know what your market's going to, bring you, and you're just like hope for the best, try to order accordingly. But yeah, neat watch. Now looking at the dial, um, Schmitty, I'm going to be perfectly frank with you. My snarky sense of humor originally kind of said like Satan's scrotum,
Oh,
but
butthole.
realistically, probably more like some kind of like dragon's egg from like Game of Thrones or something.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
little veiny. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm getting veiny vibes.
I mean, it is a little bit of that for sure. Honestly, what it reminds me of, one, I can totally get the volcano. It looks like lava flowing, which I think is where the inspiration
Hmm.
is definitely tied in. But this reminds me a lot of like the Glashütte original, like Senator 60s dials, like those
Okay,
crackle dials, if you remember.
I could get
Not
with that.
quite as aggressive, but it's kind of in that same thing here. So I don't know. I like it. It's kind of a design. It's not a hitter for me, but I can appreciate it. I think
It's a
it's
neat
cool.
watch. I would say it's a neat watch. Jokes aside,
I mean,
you know.
the dial is really impressive. There's no question about that. So I think it's a good looking piece. I'm sure people will be happy to get one. And again, if you're not, then they'll only make as many as are requested. So there you go.
Right? You just don't have that many opportunities to get red as well, right? So
Yeah, not this type of red.
no,
No.
not at all. All right, I'm gonna move on here and get our ball rolling here because tonight we have not one but two guests. We have our friends Cody and Zach from the Anti Watch Club. For those keeping score, gentlemen, welcome. I guess I'm going to let you start by introducing yourselves, and we can roll from there. So, if you want to take it away.
Cool. Cody?
Yeah, so I'm Cody. I'm one of the founders of the Anti-Watch Club. I'm getting ready to retire from the United States Army after 20 years, so I will be completely free and clear. Um, when I found out about watches, I really went down the rabbit hole I just head first. Didn't know much about them except for my sun toes, and now I've got a neck then.
There you
So
go.
very, very different ends of the spectrum. But yeah, it's truly an honor to be on the show. Thank you for having us. And
And thank you for your
Zach, go
service,
ahead.
by the way.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for your service for sure.
Thank you, gentlemen. Zach.
Cool. So yeah, I'm Zach. Cool to be on here. Cody's been trying to get me on a podcast and get us on a podcast for a while. So it's nice to get out and do something different. And I'm sitting in my garage, so that's how this is me getting out. But yeah, no, it's cool. I have a similar at least watch background with Cody. Just kind of started out with nothing crazy. I legit had some G Shocks, and then I got a Sunto for my kind of overlanding and backcountry stuff that I do on motorcycles and trucks and mountain biking. And then that kind of pushed me to some micro brands. And then, here we are, a couple years later, and we've all, we've been through a lot of different grails, so to speak. And now we're doing this whole watch thing, which is it's crazy. It's been a big year for us and just kind of exploded. So don't really know how to start that whole story, but just cool that we kind of all came together out of a mutual interest for something that wasn't really expensive or considered to be a main popular brand, but something small that brought us together. And now we're legit, creating and selling merchandise and donating money to, charities and helping out vets and LEOs and stuff. So it's been a cool roller coaster of just a lot of stuff going on in a very short amount of time. So it's cool to talk about. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of your sort of mantras and beliefs sort of align with ours. I mean, you guys came across my radar because not only have you really sort of taken off just as a group, but also some of your members have thrown me the occasional meme once in a while and had a couple laughs back and forth, which has been fun. I guess let's start with the name. What's the significance of the name Anti-Watch Club? Because I think when people hear or see that, they might think it's something that's actually not.
Yeah, so that's it's a play on, I'm sure all you guys know, like Anti-Social Social Club, which was kind of the original, and then it turned into everything. Anti BMW Club, Anti-Car Club, whatever. But the whole it legit came out of one night. We were in a group chat with what started out as 2 or 3 of us turned into 9 of us, which are basically the 9 founders. And we were basically one night we're just kind of bullshitting, and it was like, yo, we should just make this an actual thing. Like, let's do an Instagram. I was like, I'll do the Instagram. Like, hit me up, I'll run it. But I need, like, give me a name. Like, let's do something. And one of the guys was just like, yo, let's do anti-watch club, because we were like anti-Rolex club, we went through a lot of different things, and it was just kind of like joking around, and somebody was like anti-watch club, and it, basically like the whole meaning behind it, and we kind of talked about it a little before when we were talking about Rolex, was just like, it's basically anti, like, suit and tie, wearing your watch, putting it in your safe, only taking out on nice occasions, like keeping it on the bracelet, like, keep it nice for the next person to own it, right? Or keep it nice to pass down. Like, our whole thing was like, no, like we're like the anti, like, we're anti-watch in the sense that a watch isn't like an accessory. It's not like something you just wear to look cool or to be flashy. Like, it's a tool. Like use it. Like, and a lot of the guys that are in our immediate founder group, and even in the plank owners, like, they use a lot of their shit like on deployment. They used it overseas. They used it,
which is dope.
Yeah, and Cody can talk about when he's got a Seiko that he's got that was on deployment, and it's pretty beat up, and he still runs it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cool. So that was our whole thing, was like, no, like, we want to like get to the point where people see us like wearing these watches and being like, I can't believe you're doing that with that, that expensive watch that you're wearing. It's like, no, like, that's what they're made for. Like, just use it. And it kind of just turned into that like I don't want to say anti-establishment, but almost like anti-watch world. Like, and you're the same, like, Brodinki's the same way, right? Like you love to poke fun at like the suit and tie trust fund kids that just get their Pepsis and their GMTs and their Hulks, and you know what I mean? Like, it's
seriousness of it
it's
all.
the same vibe, right?
Yeah.
Like, same
absolutely.
thing. Like, yeah, that's basically, I don't know, Cody could elaborate more on it, but I think that's our main thing, was just like, we're anti not using your shit. Just get out there and use your stuff, and if it's a tool, use it. Like, have fun with it, Otherwise, it's a waste.
Amen.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that resonates with a lot of people. Maybe not everybody, but I think that resonates with a lot of people. And I think those people sort of know that the reason why watches are expensive is not because they're meant to be a store of value or something. They're expensive because they're reliable, because you can put them through the ringer and they'll come out fine, right? I mean, hell, we sent watches to the depths of the ocean, to the moon, right? Like,
yeah.
Everybody's like, can I swim in this? Like, are you serious? Right?
And I think swim in my Submariner.
But I think that's where this type of mentality comes from. Is you're like, whoa. Like, we have two very divided camps here. We have somebody who's afraid to go in the water at the beach, and then you have other people who are like, I wonder if this will survive 11,000 meters. Right?
Right. I'm gonna try it.
Right. So, like, I think that's kind of where it comes from. I heard one of your members on the Army in Time podcast, sort of a congruent friend of the show in passing. How did you guys sort of, a bunch of you came together over Sangin, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And for those who don't know, sort of give a little rundown about Sangin, because I know a little bit about them, and Schmidt and I have both, I think, checked in on their drops, and they go pretty quick.
Pretty quick. Yeah. Cody, you want to take that?
Yeah. So, Sangin Instruments they're currently out of San Francisco, California. They're currently they were a two-man shop. Jacob and his wife Paris, they were like the two running Sangin Instruments. They are a micro independent brand, but the whole idea behind Sangin Instruments was to create a watch where E5 in the Marine Corps, newly promoted, can go out and buy a nice watch to show off. So that's where Jake's mantra comes in, and it blew up.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, as you mentioned, right? All of his drops, they sell out so fast. But we all own Sangin Instruments. We owned almost, I think, every model
easily,
that Sangin makes. Easily. And it's a very core competency of AWWC, is that AWWC were Um, it's the tribe, right?
Yeah.
The tribe is what matters. So we all found ourselves on the Facebook Singing Owners Group talking back and forth, showing morning wrist shots with cup of coffee or breakfast, and then working out in our singings, or myself at the field, or other guys shooting guns at the ranges. And then we all kind of like weeded through the weeds to find each other. And we started
Yeah.
talking more
Yeah.
and more. And they were like, whoa, why don't we do this? Why don't we create something where we are all about giving back to the community? And almost a year later, we created AWWC.
That's amazing. And that brand has gotten everywhere. I mean, hell, it's on, Grantham wears it like every day on all his
Yeah.
videos.
That's his
I
daily.
mean,
Yeah.
you talk
Yeah.
about notoriety. I mean, how many views does that guy get a day
Right.
of his Sang and
Exactly,
Watch?
and-
It's kind of insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yep, he
Yeah,
does
the-
everything from a quartz Seiko movement to automatic Seiko, and now the new Hydra has a Toledo movement.
Very
So
nice.
he is continuously pushing the boundaries of what a micro/independent brand can do, and it's amazing what they're doing.
Yeah, and I like them. I think they're cool because they seem extremely purpose built, which I'm into. Like I always, when people knock things like quartz, I'm like, they have a perfectly good use.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And in a watch like this, it makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
that's why, like, when I first saw them, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I was talking about when people were like, oh, you're really into quartz watches. I'm like, in the right context, absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, it's kind of the anti-snobbery in itself, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
definitely neat to
That's for
see.
sure.
So a big part of what you guys do is actually philanthropy, which is pretty cool. I mean, I can't lie. Starting up something, it's been interesting starting up something sort of by myself and then with the Schmidt man here. And even then, it's only two people, and it's tough at first because you're kind of like, all right, I know I'm going to be invested. Is everybody else going to be invested?
Yeah.
And when you have nine
Right.
people, you're like, damn, like, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm like, I don't want to humiliate myself and be like the only person and then like start like nagging everybody by email and stuff. So like, I can imagine how difficult that might have been at first.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like you guys got it really together. Why don't you tell us about, I guess, your fundraising and things like that?
Go ahead. Zach.
So I mean, there's basically it's basically like 5 to 6 of us that are pretty much actively involved day to day in kind of operations and projects and stuff like that. So we'll Alex and I will talk and we'll kind of delegate whatever we need. But we're basically like all of us are spread out across the U.S. So we've got guys in California and Vegas and Georgia, North Carolina, New York, and Connecticut. Like we're all over the place. So it's difficult in the sense to kind of get stuff to sometimes get stuff done, but like at the same time we have a lot of reach in where we're at and what we can do locally. Right. And that's the goal, is we want to get to the point where we can all basically work with local charities and local organizations through AWWC to kind of get stuff done. So the biggest thing we've been kind of fundraising is basically just selling merchandise. So we'll take proceeds of stuff that we sell, and majority of stuff that we've been doing has been going directly to other nonprofits and veteran organizations and social services and stuff like that. And then more product development so that we can continue to kind of do what we've been doing. So the next step for us is we really want to focus on getting actual kind of investors and donors and stuff to kind of, to get to the next level. We have a lot of stuff sort of in the works that we're kind of trying to do more on a personal level, like with individuals and veterans kind of through the community, instead of utilizing like different charities that we've been donating to, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Cody could probably touch on that a little bit more, but yeah, basically we will have a drop, we'll sell straps or shirts or whatever it is, and we'll try to delegate a portion of that proceeds to go to whatever charity we pick at that time. And I think, like, I forget the exact number, but I think to date we've donated like a little over 10K to different charities. Like, yeah. And like we're all like doing full-time jobs. Like we all have families, we all have full-time.
Yeah, likewise.
And like, yeah, and like it's just a fun thing to like to be like, yeah, we wrote this check for like $3,000 to a veterans organization in Connecticut and Hartford at a small pop-up we did. And it was cool. You know what I mean? It's cool to do stuff like that. So that's the kind of stuff we want to keep doing. We want to get to the next level where we could basically sponsor people to take courses and do training and stuff like that, and kind of, grow people's potential and stuff like that. So it's always a work in progress, but we're constantly like thinking of ideas and different ways to raise more money and impact people. So I don't know if Cody's got anything to add to that, but
yeah, it goes back to as Zach mentioned. So let's say a police officer wants to go get more training, but his or her department says, no, you can't. We're not going to pay you to send you to a shooting school to learn how to be a better shooter, to be able to defend yourself better. We want to slowly transition ourselves to where we're like, tell us the 5 W's, to the who, what, when, where, and why, right? And then we'll sponsor you to go to that shooting course or that advanced medical training course that we all need, especially military and first responders. And then for simple cases, and so when a soldier gets assigned from North Carolina to Alaska, either they're going to drive or fly. Well, let's say an emergency happens to his or her family. Yes, the military has resources, but it's not as fast turnaround. So we also want to be that avenue of approach where they may have a friend of a friend who's a part of AWWC who reaches out and be like, okay, yep, we can absolutely help you out. Simple as providing Uber rides for veterans to get to their appointments out in California, Nevada, wherever. Like, it's just a small token where we can instantly give back with no red tape, because we don't have stakeholders. We are our own stakeholders. It's a simple turnaround. We're like, yep, do it. Tony, who was on Army in Time, he's he is our chief financial officer. He's like, all right, got it, go pay. So we just want to be that quick, no red tape avenue of approach for people who may or may not be a part of our community, but they know we're here, where
and they need the help.
Them out where we can do the best we can.
We had like just a small, like a super small incident, but one of our guys is he's a VA police officer, and at his VA a vet showed up, and he was like super stressed out, like kind of freaking out, and this guy was like, yo, like, what's going on, what's the problem? And the guy's like, I took an Uber here, I got dropped off by somebody, and he's like, I'm at the wrong VA, I'm at the wrong place for my appointment. So this dude who's part of AWC was like, where do you got to go? Like, let's find out where you need to be. And they figured it out, and he called the other, medical center. And then he hit us up and was like, yo, this guy needs a ride to wherever this center is. Can we pay for it? And we were like, yeah, of course. Like, let's do it. So we got the guy Uber. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was just like Cody was saying, like, we want to be able to just like at the drop of a pin, like be like, yo, let's do it. Like, let's help this guy,
make a difference.
Because like he could have paid whatever. Maybe the dude had the 50, 60, 70 bucks to take the Uber wherever he had to go. Like, it wasn't like a missed a block. Like, he was at a completely wrong area for his VA. So it's like little stuff like that is kind of what we want to do, is focus on helping the individual. But at the same time, like, we want to be able to donate, a good amount of money to different organizations that, do a lot of work for veterans. And there's a lot of them out there. So, I mean, the opportunity is endless. So it's a big task, but it's like, you got to do something about it. And it's been good to, get involved. So.
Yeah, I heard Tony talking about, I think he might've been talking about the check you were talking about, where he's like, yeah, we donated, an okay amount of money. And he's like, it put 3 vets up for a year.
Yeah.
Like that's life-changing, more or less, right? Like, you think about housing, feeding yourself for a year, like, that's not a small feat. Like, that's tremendous.
Yeah. To us, it was like, we talked about that when we're like, no, we want we were on the site, like how much could we donate to make an impact? And that was one of the things, like $1,000 is one vet for how long. And we're like, that's it. Like that's all it takes is to do that for somebody for a year. So we came up with that number, and yeah, that's a local to me. That they're in Connecticut. That's Connecticut. It's like this I think a CRT, Connecticut Response Team or whatever. So they do a lot of vet stuff in basically right in downtown Hartford. There's a big big outreach center there. So they're super cool. Like we had a guy come down to the little the AD that we were at. We were invited out to an AD in Hartford called Armstrong Rockwell. So they do IWC and Omega and Car Boucher and a bunch of other
nice
brands that I can't pronounce. Yeah, but cool spot. So they came out and they took the check, and yeah, they were ecstatic. It was just cool to see that money go like right to use, and it was on the local level, which is, it's nice to see kind of impacting local people and doing that. So that's what we want to get in the habit of is, working locally and making an impact for people on the local
and that's
level.
where you make the most impact is in your communities.
Right.
I mean, it's always good to be part of these, crazy national organizations, and there's certainly something to be said for that. But a lot of times you donate the checks and you just don't know where they go. You don't know who's ultimately on the receiving end of that. So for me, when it comes to philanthropy, it's always been about trying to do it as local as possible. I mean, that's kind of what Bro's been doing with Real Men Wear Pink and his donation that he does, and that we've been talking about every single year for the last 2 years. This is now going on the third. So yeah, it's cool. It's important to give back. If you have the means, 100%, you got to give back.
Yeah, and
I think what really
feel free to plug anything you're doing, have done, etc. Because we're big on the giving back. So shameless plug away. Don't feel bad about it. Work that anywhere you need to.
Fair.
I think what really made that more meaningful to us as a organization is we were able to do that within, I think we were less than 5 months old.
Yeah, we were 5 months at that point.
That's huge.
Yeah. To be able to write a check $3,000 right away. So that's, let's right around 5 months, and, 9 founders, 5 guys doing the day-to-day operations to just
as a side gig.
As a side gig. Yep. Yeah. Like I flew from Georgia to Hartford. I met Zac up there, and we instantly were able to do it. And I think that's really that was a huge impact for us personally and professionally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the funniest thing is none of us had met each other prior to any of this. I legit haven't.
Sounds familiar.
I probably met more of the founders than anybody. So I've met Tony and Kyle and Cody, obviously. But it's funny, we've been talking this whole time, and we linked up, and it was we've been buddies forever. You know what I mean? Instantly just getting to work and doing stuff. And I mean, the fact that Cody just was like, yeah, I'll come up, I'll fly from Georgia to do this thing. We were like, all right, cool. And, we did it. And it was a cool experience. But, yeah, I mean, and at that point, I don't think we had really done a whole lot with watch straps or, we've done some apparel and some, swag kind of stuff. But I mean, more recently, we've been doing a lot of straps with Zane's, Zane's Handmade and our own decon straps and stuff like that. And that's kind of what's really helped us get to the next level of making donations and all that. But up to that point, I mean, we had basically just been selling T-shirts and hoodies and hats and water bottles and nothing crazy at that point. You know what I mean? So the fact that we could get that done that quickly was it was cool. And it was cool to see the support so early on. And it's still, it's still, we were talking in the chat the other day, it's always humbling to see people post screenshots in our Facebook group, oh my gosh, I got this, I got this order finally for this Decon 2 strap or this water bottom. We're it's pretty cool. People are excited about this shit.
Yeah,
and
it's very cool.
And they know it's going to a good place. They know that, we're helping out, we're putting our money where our mouth is in the community. And that's our biggest thing is our whole slogan is Acta non Verba, which is basically deeds, not words. So just, instead of talking about helping people, go help them.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah, just do it. Just do stuff. And that's been our thing. So it's cool. It's cool to see it happen.
And if you guys got stickers, I got room on the old backdrop here.
Oh, we got stickers.
We got stickers for days.
I got a good collection going on here. So
yeah.
We got tons of stickers.
Yeah, but Yeah, since you mentioned the straps, and it's something that I've also had the pleasure of enduring the process of. Why don't you tell us about those? I know you had the Decon 1 and 2. I guess sort of just like the process and how it went and everything, and a little bit about them.
Go for it, Zach.
Me? All right. Oh man, so
Yeah.
how it went. So it's been a shit show, but
Always is.
but it's been successful, right? So and that's the thing, is like growing pains of any business or any organization. We had got some early prototypes early on, and Alex, our CEO, he's the brains behind a lot of the influence of like gear, like the imagery you see, the prototypes that we get, like that's 9 times out of 10 is Alex like up late at night sketching something out, and then it comes to life, right? So the Decon he basically was like, I want a strap that you can wear everywhere, like it's waterproof, it's durable, it's comfortable, it's low profile, but it's got to be a NATO, right? NATO style. Sorry,
Very much so.
NATO style, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
NATO's
of course.
style.
NATO
that
style.
guy, so and he went through a couple different suppliers, and we were like very adamant, like we don't want to go, not to throw shade at people that use China or whatever, like whatever, it's your thing, like do whatever you gotta do. Like we wanted something that was either US or European based. So we found a supplier in the UK that could do this strap, right? So we got them first, and the first batch was good. It worked, but the second we got it, we all in the chat were like, we got to change this with the keeper. We need a floating keeper. We need a different buckle. We need, this is a failure point. This can't be a failure point. You got to change this to, different style buckle. So went through a couple phases of testing and all that, and then the Decon 2 is definitely a huge improvement over the one. We thinned it down a little bit, and went to like a Maritech style buckle, round buckle, so no failure point in the buckle itself. And then added a nice floating keeper, and then we even added a third rubber keeper for additional slack if you have to kind of tighten it up. But the feedback on that strap has been killer. I desk dive. Like I work at a shop, I work in an office at a sales desk all day, and I wear it all the time. Like it's just comfortable. Like it's comfortable, it's durable. And we have guys that are chasing down, Grand Theft Auto dudes in the streets, getting in, rolls in the ground with them, and then they're like sending us pictures like, yo, my spring bar popped off my Decon, but my watch is still on my wrist. Like total extremes of the use that these straps go through. But
real field
cool.
testing,
it's been a really good
real field testing.
like legit.
That's awesome.
Legit field testing. And that's been our whole thing, is like we want everybody to be able to buy our products and use them however they want. So whether you're just you're going to an office, or you're fighting a battle or a war, or jumping out of an airplane or whatever, like it should work for whatever you're doing it for. And that's been the kind of main thing. So we're working on bringing production stateside. So that's our next project. There is, I think they're still live on the site now. So our basically our last pre-order for the UK based ones are going to go, probably the last order will be closed by this weekend, and then we'll eventually start shipping stuff stateside and trying to move production that way. Just because we want to try to keep everything, as locally and domestically produced as we can. But yeah, it's a cool product for sure. Cody, got anything to add?
Yeah, so we always want to evolve, right? We always want to strive to make things better. So like Zach was saying, the Decon 1 was great, and as soon as we got it, we were like, okay, we got to evolve this because it's not meeting our requirements or our specs. And then Decon 2 came out, and we were like, okay, this is better, but we also now need this, and that. And now with the Decon 3, we have found that supplier that can actually meet our specs and requirements.
Nice.
In the US is like, that's very important to us because it's your neighbor working at the manufacturer creating that product for people. And as soon as they said, yes, we can do this and meet your requirements and specs, we were like, all right, let's start this process on collaborating together about this strap. And it's gonna be pretty rad when it comes out.
Very nice.
So
We're excited.
is that the teaser?
That is a teaser. You will have
Okay.
to wait.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
We
I was
also
like,
have
you got any leaks coming in the pipeline you want to talk about?
we can
Maybe.
get into some leaks further in the show.
Yeah.
But we're also always going to
We
be
got some good
working
watch.
with
We got some
Zan.
good watch leaks. So
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. All
We
right.
also will be working with Zane's Handmade continuously, just because we had that solid relationship with him, and
Yeah.
we all love his straps. So yeah, there'll be different patterns, different styles coming out with him as well. So keep your eyes peeled.
I love it. I love it.
Now let me ask you something, because
Yeah.
things like this always strike me as kind of odd. Has anybody like I don't know, reached out about like running like a story on you guys or anything at any point?
So
you know,
I
I don't
maybe
think like anything. I don't know. Some people had said some. There's been some stuff in passing, but nothing
concrete.
major. But Cody has more comms in that realm of the world than I do, so I'll let him talk.
Yeah, so we were in talks with well, we still are, but it's just life, right? It's chaotic. It
Sure.
ever changes, and you have no idea what's going to happen. With Horology Republic.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yep. So we were, and I'm sure we will still be. Eventually, we'll be in his publication, but there's no set dates yet. Oh, excuse me. On on when that will happen. So hopefully sooner than later, because
you know, and
we want to tell our story.
Yeah, I'm not asking that in a like a negative way. What kind of always throws me for a loop with that respect is like, you know, people are always looking for these stories in watches, and half of them seem like conjured up or half cooked and like, you know, kind of maybe implausible even. But like, this is a real story about people within the hobby helping other people doing a big thing that's bigger than the sum of the 9 people who started it. You know what I mean? Like, this is it's a bit of a movement at this point. It's got its own life, right? Like, how has nobody else found out about this? And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy to be able to sort of spread the word on this from my point of view. Like, you know,
absolutely,
it's a great cause, and I'm always down with that. You know, Schmidt and I have done our best to sort of give back in our own rights and things like that. And I also I have first responders in my family, so I was like, absolutely. But like, you know, I'm not a kingmaker. I'm not a Hodinky. I'm not a blog to watch. I'm not anything like that. Hopefully, you know, this can put something on the radar, but like, it always astonishes me when people are out there doing tremendous things within the watch space, and it actually applies. Like, it's not some zany story about something that can't be verified, right? Yeah,
it's not a grift.
Yeah. It's not one of those things that nobody can verify, and it's just like, this was Captain Hook's pocket watch. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, come on. You know, like, this is real concrete stuff, and people are getting, you know, people are benefiting from this. And at the end of the day, it's nonprofit, right? So it's not a money grab.
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Well, I think,
I
think the biggest thing, and I don't want to dive into anything political or whatever, but I think if you just kind of have if you have an understanding of what sells in the media, it's like, it's negative, right? Everything that you see on the news, it's like negative shit all the time, right? So I don't know. I don't know if we don't have the reach or the exposure yet, or people are just kind of like, oh, this won't really sell. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I don't know. Like, maybe we're too edgy. I don't know. Maybe we're too much skull and crossbones and Grim Reaper, and kind of like, you know, 'cause if you look at our gear and stuff, it's kind of, you know, like Cody's got our Trash Tack collab shirt on, which is a severed hand holding a 1911 style pistol with a Rolex on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little edgy for some people, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Which is what we want, and we're going to maintain that. You know, we're going to maintain that kind of status, and we're going to maintain that style as we should, right? So I think eventually we'll get that sort of like person that's going to be like, wait, you're doing what with, you've done what with how much money, and you've made how many sales and how long, and you're not making any money. Like, I think we'll get there eventually. But honestly, like, I don't want to say that we don't really care. Like, we haven't been reaching out to people to be like, hey, come interview us.
Yeah, of course.
The only reason that we really want that to happen is so that we can get people to invest and donate to the cause. That's
right.
The main thing, right? So if we could get somebody that would do a publication on us, that would be great. But like, at the same time, we're so focused on, product development and implementation and distribution, which is a whole other topic, which is just a nightmare. As 9 dudes that have families and full-time jobs trying to ship, thousands of packages out, I'm sure you guys get it, but yeah, I don't know. We had a couple. Cody had talked to a couple quote unquote influencers that wanted to do a story on us, and I don't, it kind of fizzled out, not on his part, but sometimes people are a lot of talk. Oh yeah, let's do this, let's make this happen, and then when push comes to shove, nothing happens.
I mean, we've experienced that in ourselves, and I think that's
I'm sure, yeah.
That's why, you guys as an organization and us as a podcast kind of have a lot of similarities, because we've experienced a lot of the same things. And when Bro and I decided to start this, and it's kind of a funny story. I don't think we've ever really talked about it, Bro, officially, how we started the podcast. I don't think we've ever covered it in
maybe not.
7 episodes.
You might be right.
But,
oh man, so this could be big right here. Yeah.
He and I met through mutual friends, and we never had physically met in person. We don't live anywhere close to each other. We had never met physically in person. And over some late night texts back and forth, he's like, I've always wanted to start a podcast. And I was like, you know what? That's always something that I've wanted to do, but I never knew somebody that I wanted to do this with. And I was like, well, I'm down if you're down.
Right.
He's like, let's do it. Let's start it. And we always kind of wanted to have the mindset that we didn't want to do what everyone else was doing. We didn't want to be bought and sold. We didn't want to have, we don't want to be kissing ass. We wanted to do our own thing because it was honest and it was genuine, and it was what we felt would be resonant with our target demographic. And it's been very successful thus far. And last year we gave, or Bro really gave an exorbitant amount of money to Real Men Wear Pink, just based on people that are listening and getting engaged in this. And I think awesome. that's what's so great about what you guys are doing too, because you're doing it the authentic and the genuine way. And when it's ready to be something bigger, it'll be for the right reasons, and not because some influencer caught wind of your thing and wanted to clout you up and is asking for favors on the back end. It's for legitimately helping people, and because people care to get involved. So if we can be a small part of that message, getting it out to more people, then we're happy to do it, because it's important. There's so many veterans out there that need the care. There's so many people that are in first responders or law enforcement that kind of are in a dark way right now. There's not a lot of support for them around the communities. And it's unfortunate because I think it's completely wrong, but whatever we can do to help, we will.
Yeah. I mean, on that note, we had we have a group of, it's basically like 30 plank owners, which they're called, basically, who are like early investors who, put up a good amount of money to kind of almost to crowdfund us, but like early investors that basically get perks throughout, right? So they got we did a swag, we did a swag pack for them and some other stuff, and they get hooked up down the line, get early release stuff and all that. And like one of them today, and it blew my mind. Like, he's active duty. He sent in our group chat, like, I had an appointment at my VA to do a behavioral health or a mental health, Cody. I forget what exactly he said.
Yeah.
But he had an appointment basically because he's like, I've been feeling like just kind of down, like brain fog, like just totally beat down. And I had this appointment to go today, and it was canceled on me at the last minute. And because I didn't have a official referral or some bullshit, right? And I sent
it a referral.
Yeah. So I screenshot it and sent it to the founders, because I'm not military. I've never been military, but most of the dudes in the founder chat are or have been or whatever. And I was like guys, like what the fuck? Like this is one of our own that is obviously going through something, and he was trying to get this appointment and he couldn't even get it. It got canceled on him. Like, it just blows my mind. And we caught that one, and like we see it, you know what I mean? And we can reach out to him and engage with him. But how many go like unnoticed? Like how many 100%. Of those guys, like
too many,
like Yeah, like, and we know it. Like, we know how many vets struggle with that, and we know how many vets commit suicide, and we know how many vets have those issues. And it's just like, if we're seeing this like in front of our own eyes with dudes that we know and like we engage with on a daily basis, like how many more are there? Like right. So it's just crazy. And that kind of struck me because like I said, I'm not, I've been friends with military dudes and it's been in my family. I've never done it, but it just hit me like, man, like we've got to be able to help these guys out. Like, not even just our own guys, but like dudes out there that don't have this resource. Like we want to be that resource where people can reach out and, and just ask for help if we can do it, and that's kind of the whole thing. So
absolutely.
Crazy.
I mean, there was just a guy on one of the SEAL teams, not like 2 weeks ago, that ended up taking his own life just recently. It's crazy, and it happens, like you said, it happens so many times, and it's so numerous now. People have lost count because they haven't been able to help, and just as you said, just helping one additional person is truly important. Could not agree more.
Yeah, and I think that was part of what made me want to do the episode. We kind of got into talking about it and do a little research, a little background on my end.
Sure, yeah.
So, and it's funny, I literally you had mentioned it, and I want to say it was in Latin, but I had sort of written down in my own little notes like the idea of being about it, and like that is what really like hooked it for me. I was like, because when you always think like we as a culture, we've gotten to this point where whenever something unfortunate happens, it's always thoughts and prayers. It's great. I'm not saying it's insincere.
100%, yeah.
I'm not saying it's insincere, but
sure,
that doesn't, it doesn't pay bills, right?
Yep.
It's not going to replace a spouse's income if something bad happens, right? Like, and that was
100%,
those are just things that I was running with that Tony was talking about on the other podcast. How somebody might lose a spouse overseas or something, right? And they're grinding on their own end just to keep the family afloat. Well, what are they going to do now?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah. And thoughts and prayers are nice, but they don't do anything for the end user, right?
Right.
And that's
absolutely.
Our whole thing
is
end user stuff, right? Like products, whatever it is. Like thoughts and prayers are good, whatever. I believe in prayer, but at the end of the day, like if you can't physically help that person, like I don't know. It's kind of insulting to me, like to just be like, yeah, thoughts and prayers, man. Good luck.
Right. And I'm not, again, I'm not saying they're insincere. I'm not saying there's no sympathy.
No.
But at the end of the day, it being about it and getting involved, getting your hands dirty, there's something to be said for that in a big way. And that's why I was like, this makes almost too much sense. So I was like, I would be glad, and I was happy to have you guys. And I think it's been a great conversation so far. And, I'm excited to learn more.
I can tell you firsthand that in any of the branches, right? So if I'm in Afghanistan again or wherever the Army sends me, right? And God forbid, something happens and I pay the ultimate price. I accept that. But my quote unquote life insurance from the United States Army doesn't like, oh, he was killed in action. Okay, write the check for life insurance amount. That doesn't happen right away.
Right.
Like, it's
of course
months before my wife and kids would see that. And yet bills are piling up, mortgage, car payments, whatever, because my pay stops right now until the Army figures. So we want to be there to be like, okay, like this is what we can do. We can work with other organizations that provide immediate relief as well. So now it's multiple channels working to help a single family or a single mom, single dad going forward until that life insurance check comes in the mail or, direct deposit, whatever the case may be. But we just want to be there to be able to work with organizations such as All In All the Time that can provide immediate relief, like right away, no red tape, nothing. Like, here, take it. That's what we are about. That's like where our passion is.
Yeah, and that's great, and I think it resonates. I think it's definitely authentic. It's not like, the internet's a fun place and it's a little strange at times, and you never really know who's on the other end. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think people kind of, sort of enjoyed that about my own account at sometimes, but
No, no, never, never.
but no, I think
Really? Never?
there's just a big difference between when you have people that don't put themselves out there and you're not sure if they're as invested as they seem. And again, you've
Yeah.
seen it happen, right? How many
Oh,
organizations
yeah.
have
Oh,
we
yeah.
seen where the funds are going Lord knows where, right?
Yep.
But it's amazing that you can actually see it going to the end user, and there's not really a price you could put on that. Like that's the ultimate,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So my goal. Yeah.
So let me ask you, people have always joked with me, and it's usually people I know who have micro brands about making, like my own kind of themed watch as like a usually a joke. But seriously, like you guys have a pretty solid concept there. Would you guys ever consider making I don't know, like a small run with a company, like say, like a Sangen or like a Winfield or somebody?
Cody.
Oh,
Because
I'm
I
seeing
think that would
smiles.
I feel like I might have struck a nerve with that one,
Yeah.
but
I just don't want to say something that I shouldn't. So
No,
I'm gonna let Cody do it.
No. So, okay. So yes, we are two solid watch collaborations that we have in the works and that will be coming out this year. We are almost solidified our third watch collaboration.
Wow.
Very nice.
We are already in talks for two watch collaborations, I think first and second quarter of next year.
As you say, don't violate any NDAs here, but
Yeah, we're trying not to. Yeah.
No. No, because I got to be the one to send the NDAs out to, and I signed. So I'm very well aware. Two of the watch collabs I can go ahead and say out loud right now. But first, let me ask you, okay, what do you guys think of the Notice Sector Deep that was just released?
I think it's hot. I like it. And
Like-
it's Destro, which
okay.
is funky. So
Did you
I think it's
guys
cool.
happen to check it out at Wind Up? Did you see it in person?
I haven't seen it in person. I just saw the press pics and a lot of the live photos that people
Yeah.
took on Instagram.
yeah,
Because Wes
I
from
think I
Notice
did.
had a prototype there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did
Yeah.
see it. I mean, you know how wind up it is. It's very elbow to
Yeah,
elbow, and like you can.
it's crazy.
Sometimes it's hard to
Yeah.
get your hands on stuff or really get a good look at it. But I'm pretty sure I
Yeah.
saw it.
Okay. Perfect. Then you know the brand and then you know the model. Now just put some AWWC flair onto it, and there's one collab.
Yeah.
That'll
It'll be a very
That'll be a
different-
solid collab.
That's a
And
good
if
one.
that's
It'll
your
be a
first
very
one, that's a
different-
solid collab
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that should be our
Um,
first, and it's going to be very different than the. I'll just say, Cody, am I violating anything? But I don't know. It's going to be very different than the current rendering of the Notice Deep. That's all I'll say. Like
Correct.
total flip on what you see, which
Very
is
cool.
going to be cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
I'm like really excited now.
Our second collab is going to be with Sterling Timepieces, our UK counterpart. So one of the owners, he is a British soldier. So
Okay.
it really speaks like one-to-one who we are. So we are doing a kind of a field watch with them.
Okay.
And it's gonna be pretty rad too. Lead a movement, just really sharp looking watch. Our third one, it will be a very big hit too.
Okay.
But I can't say because
That's okay.
haven't
That's okay.
finalized
I know.
it yet.
Yeah, for sure.
And then two watch, I'm in works with two other manufacturers for a collaboration for next year. So, well, yeah,
So you guys are hitting the ground
Sick.
running.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
We're
you guys
trying.
are
Our
hitting the ground.
goal. Yeah, our goal eventually is to basically have a watch every quarter that we can drop. I think ultimately, right? Like whether it's a micro brand or a main brand, we want to have something every quarter that we can sell and eventually donate. We want to get to the point where we can have one of our pieces and be able to donate it to a retiring service member or
That's cool.
an
That would be
LEO
very cool.
an LEO who did something really cool, and give it, I mean, just stuff like that. That's kind of the point we want to get to. So the more that we can, build up our reputation, and the more watches we can sell, the more we can, give that stuff away and donate it, how we see fit. So yeah, so we're going to constantly, Cody's an animal. Like we'll be in the group chat one day and he'll be like, oh, I got this guy to meet. We're going to talk about a collab. And it's like a pretty big, well-known watch company. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh shit. Like, okay, this is going to be legit, So it's cool to see the interest. Even people that have like, oh yeah, I've heard of you guys. Like, I know who you are. Like, it's cool. It's just it's a very rewarding feeling being so young, and being able to do that stuff. So but the Sterling and Otis are going to be pretty over the top. So should be good.
I'm very excited.
It's funny.
Well, look, if it's anything like the rest of the stuff that you guys have designed in all of your merch and all the different stuff, it's very well executed. The design concept that you guys utilize, it's not just like some, Photoshop nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, it's got a lot of thought behind it. I think it's edgy, but it's cool, and it obviously is your own style as a brand, which I think is fantastic. I mean, the challenge coins are very detailed. I love the glow in the dark stuff that you guys do, the Nalgene bottles, the challenge coins as well. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you guys do with intention that I think is super cool. So if you can mix that into a watch, I'm for it. I'm for it.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to mix it into everything, and one of the another thing we're working on, and we can't say the name or whatever, but it's basically an like an everyday carry, like a fixed blade knife.
Nice.
And it's got our flair on it. It's got our kind of our I like hand sketched it, and then the maker was kind of like, I think we should change this, we should do that. So it has our idea behind it, and then he's going to add some of our engraving and logos to it and colorways and.
Cool.
Just something else. Like, we're constantly thinking of different stuff to bring to the market that, like, your typical watch guy, I don't know, maybe they won't buy a knife, but like in the world of military law enforcement, firefighters, EMTs, like, they need knives. Like, it's a tool, and it speaks to our kind of mantra of just like using your shit. And if you have a tool, you use it. And we figure if a guy's going to use one of our watches on deployment, why can't he use one of our knives, or one of our, so
well,
constantly
and again,
trying to think of that, but same thing. I have the same kind of flair, same kind of design, that
and it comes from people that have carried these things and used them in whether light duty or heavy duty or field deployments.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is, like, you guys know what to look for in quality gear, and know kind of like how to utilize these things in the field. And there's so many watch blogs and different periodicals out there that try to do this. Like, they live the EDC lifestyle. And I'm like, you guys have never carried a fixed blade knife in your life. Like, Can you take this blade and make a spear out of it? Because I don't think you can. Right. Have you ever had to take, paracord and tie it to a stick and use it to go fishing? I don't know if that's real for you. I mean, I don't know if you're here for that. So it's kind of funny because you think about it. There's so many gear junkies out there that they obsess about gear and they have no idea how to use the gear. So it's so funny to me.
That's 100%.
It's everything we do is for the end user, right? So many of us, like we've been saying, right? Like, we come from that military background. So, like, for me, example, I spent my first 2 years in the 82nd Airborne. And then I spent the 9.5 years after that in special operations, right? And then in the mountains in Alaska. Like, okay, I know it worked, but I'm not the only one who can bring that aspect to our products.
Mm-hmm.
And then we all use that creative wheel that, well, we know it worked because, I used it in this environment in Iraq or Afghanistan,
right,
or in the mountains, and it was too cold, or the bracelet was too cold. It became very brittle. Okay, now let's use this wealth of knowledge and experience we have and apply it to our straps, the Nalgene bottles, because Nalgene bottles they're tanks.
They're indestructible. Yes.
And,
and they're super simple. Like, there's just no working parts. It's just like open and close.
And the attention to detail that we all bring, even Zac brings to the table, right? Like, it's that attention to detail, like you said about our coins, right? Like, we're gonna make it right. Like
Yeah.
we're not gonna half-ass it. We're gonna put the topo lines in our patches. We're gonna make it glow in the dark. We're gonna make it ace of spades or whatever the case is. It's just that attention to detail that we are all able to collectively bring as a group just for one or two product designs. And then once those are complete, it's that same attention to detail for the next 3 or 4 products that we're going to be releasing.
Right.
So just to be a part of that is pretty damn amazing on our end. Like it's just so natural for us for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason, yeah.
Yeah, whatever the case is, it's working because I think we have had between the 5 guys who run the day-to-day operations, I think we've only had like 2 Zoom meetings.
Wow.
And that's it.
That's efficiency.
I think
No way.
maybe.
No way.
Maybe. I think
Look
Look at you guys
one-
cutting out all the bureaucratic red tape. You're just going straight to the thing, getting it done.
We talk every
truly
week.
living by the motto.
We don't know what the hell we're
Yeah,
doing.
like it's email or text message. And that's
Okay.
how we have been
All day
literally
long, yeah.
able to accomplish everything we have been
That's
able
amazing.
to accomplish. Like
That's
I think
amazing.
Alex, our CEO, like he just put it in our group chat, be like, hey, the week of May 15th, right? So like a month away, we'll have a business meeting. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But like the wheel doesn't stop for us because we're still able to, I don't just get shit done because that's
Well, the
who we are
biggest
as
thing,
business.
yeah, and the biggest thing he wants is like he's like, can we just have a Zoom meeting where we just bullshit and like talk because like we only talk about work, like it's pretty much all work, all like not work, but it's pretty much AWC all the time. And he was
Productivity,
yeah, he's like, we're bros,
Yeah.
let's just like set a time. And I thought it was actually really nice. He's like, let's set a time where we can just like all hang out and talk and have a drink and just kind of like just forget about what we're doing and just have fun. You know, it was cool. You know, like I think of that in my professional world. Like I've been at my career for almost 15 years, and you know, my boss I've become really really good friends with, and every so often he'll be like, you guys want to go out and just go get drinks or we'll go out to dinner or whatever, and just like making a point to like take the professional side out of it for a 2nd and just connect as individuals and friends is a big part of it. And but that was cool. Alex suggested that, and you know, we all want that. We all want to be able just to bullshit and have fun and do that.
Yep.
And because at the same time, like it helps with the overall morale and everybody kind of getting along and getting stuff done. So it's cool.
And you know what? It's
Yes,
also,
but-
you know, when it's not a work thing, you know,
Yeah.
as much as you guys try to keep it out of work, but sometimes like the best ideas come from those moments. You know, like I
Exactly,
mean,
yeah.
like it's
For
literally
sure.
the origination of your entire brand is kind of from one of those spitballing, like, hey, we're just kind of like broing
Legit,
out
yeah.
together. Why don't we bro out and establish something that's cool? And I think that's honestly where true authenticity in organizations really stems from. I mean, bro and I stories is very similar. It's literally us, you know, texting late at night and we're like, you know what, I got a crazy idea, I'm also on board for that crazy idea, let's do the thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just pure and it's real and I love it. I think it resonates with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it absolutely resonates with people because people want that authenticity, right? They want that passion, and they want that human connection. That's like,
Sure.
I'm not serious. Like I don't take myself seriously.
Yes.
I'm not better than you, but I will absolutely shoot the shit with you about anything.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that's what really makes half of our watch world like very special and unique, because you do have those who are like, oh yeah, I just, you know, picked up my 50th anniversary Daytona. Whereas the other half is like, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to wear the bracelet. I want to throw it on a NATO or a rubber strap or put an elastic strap on it because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Well,
And
that's
you can geek out and nerd out with those people.
Yeah.
And it's just that human connection that lacks in our space in the watch world, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the most interesting thing is our Facebook group is super active. Like it's there's just constantly people posting wrist shots and talking whatever. And just tonight, like someone posted, he's like, I got a call. He picked up his Hulk, right, as AD. Like really cool, exciting. Like everybody's like, congrats, like that's awesome. And then like shortly after, a dude posted, he's like, this is by far my favorite purchase on deployment, and it was like one of the new Timex GMTs.
Nice.
And he's like, I've been wearing this thing nonstop. And people are like, yo, that's fucking sick. I want one. Where can I get it? And I'm just like, the stark contrast of like, and I'm not throwing shade at the guy that got the Hulk. Like that's awesome. But just like in our group, in our collective alone, like a guy's buying a Hulk, and then this dude's like so stoked about his, I don't know, what's a Timex, $150 or $200?
Yeah, if
maybe
that.
if that.
Yeah, if that.
And just like, and everybody's just like, congrats, man, that's awesome. Like enjoy it. So just seeing that, like, just seeing that camaraderie and like the guys kind of supporting each other from clearly different walks of life, right? Like buying very different watches, is just super cool. And that's like what we want too, is we want those people to be able to commingle and talk and we want a guy with the Daytona to put it on a Decon 2, and the guy with the Timex put it on a Decon 2. Like,
yeah,
that's the coolest thing about it. And so just seeing those two types of conversations, like every day I'll scroll to Facebook and just look at all the different stuff that people are buying or talking about, and I'm like, man, we have like such a crazy diverse amount of people that are just buying,
and that's what makes it cool.
Different watches, you know.
That's what makes it cool. Because again,
it's
that's when Bro and I and so many other people that listen to our podcast got into watches, and we've talked about this over many episodes as a through line through what we do. That's what was cool about watches. It was really the Wild West. It was like you had a guy with a Patek, and he had a guy with like a Casio, and like they were like hanging out, drinking at a bar, and they were all oogling over each other's things, you know?
Yeah.
And like that was when watches were in pure form. And now it's a lot of hype culture, and I got this and you don't. You're a peasant because you can't afford this, or you don't have a relationship with your AD. And it's kind of like, it's really dismissive to a lot of people. And it's really an ugly part of the industry because, you know, I've never viewed watches as an exclusive thing. It's just like, if you want to go into the club, you just buy a watch and you're in the club. It's kind of been that type of thing. And it's about finding people that you can share commonality and common ground with and really hanging out with them. That's it. That's the barrier to entry. I don't know when all of this extra stuff started, where now we are going to be gatekeepers, and, you know, you can't come to my Red Bar meeting because you don't meet this criteria and you don't have this spend list on your, you know, profile at this AD, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we scoff at it, but it happens every day.
Oh,
and it's so good to see these communities actually exist in the most pure forms, which is just guys and girls hanging out, talking about watches, and getting their mind off of everything else that they have to deal with in the world. That's it.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. That's for sure.
One thing I wanted to definitely touch on, you know, definitely before we close this out, we've said a little bit so far, and I think people have an idea from maybe some of the popular accounts. What do the real badasses actually own or collect?
Ooh,
that's a good question.
Because I mean, you got the accounts like Watches Espionage, you got a lot of Rolexes and stuff, and then you have other people insist that military is just huge on G-Shock, and then, you know, I know some people who were like, oh, military loves Seiko. Like, I'm always curious as to what the people who are really, you know, doing the dirty work, what they're actually collecting and wearing.
No, you're going to get
no.
Cody's like, oh man, this is going to be a while.
You're going to get a mix of both G-Shock, Sunto, Garmin, and then the Omega, Rolex, you know, Marathon, the big one too.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, Marathon. Yeah,
we've got all of those watches, and that's what we kind of go back and forth. It really depends on where you are going and what you're going to be doing. So Afghanistan, I mostly wore my Sunto Ambit. Yeah, Ambit 9, I think. X10, sorry. Sunto X10, and then I upgraded to the Sunto Ambit 3P, right? So that's mostly what I wore in Afghanistan because quartz is sadly more accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
it provided me with enough features that I could assist the decision making that was going to be happening. So a barometer, for example, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I can look at the barometer and the barometric pressure changes to anticipate bad weather coming in. I can't do that with my Necton on or a sub or even a marathon, right? Like
As much as we would love to
that.
wish that we could, right?
But we know that a time and space exists for when, like, if you're working in and out of the embassy. So when I was in Jordan with my team, we worked in around the embassy with President Obama and his Petra Park visit. So everyone knows, like, hey, these, fit looking Caucasian guys with, black plastic watches walking around too. Oh, okay. That's like a telltale sign. So, like, we would change and be like, okay, just if you had an Omega stuff, whatever, wear it, but don't leave the Sunto and the G-Shock at the fire base, right? Or at our camp. Like, wear something a normal day watch person would wear. Okay. And then there's been documented instances where guys had to trade watches for a car to be able to get in and out of an area really quickly because, the Rolexes, the Omegas, like it's instant value.
Yeah.
Not going to depreciate really, right? Like, I can go and trade my Necton in for a Toyota Hilux in Afghanistan right now to be able to do something if I had to.
Right.
So it's literally
currency.
You're going to get both into the spectrum.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sure.
So,
that's cool. That's cool.
You're going to get both ends. Especially if you're working at embassy, you're going to be wearing a much nicer watch.
Yeah. Very cool.
So,
very cool.
Hope that helps you answer.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just I think people wonder. I think people are just like, well, am I getting fed a load of BS or
Yeah.
Authenticity is like the king on social. That's what it's all about.
That is
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, even Panerai now, right? Like, you're gonna see a lot. You see a lot of guys wear Panerai who are in the community just because it's a tool watch. It can take a beating. It can, do a lot of things and still dress nice and dress down.
Look good,
and be able to do what you need it to do and be okay.
Right.
But
love it.
That's my thoughts on it. Yep.
Nice.
Very cool, man. Very cool. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. The scoop.
The scoop. Also, they do wear a lot of singing instruments. That's like
I can imagine that.
I would assume.
I can imagine that for sure.
That's like me. Like, when I came into the scene and got a buddy of mine he's a cop down in Dallas Fort Worth. He got me turned on to singing. This was years ago, and I joined the group. And I was like, man, everybody in the military wears these watches, and I've never heard of them. So like that was my thing. Like, I thought like everybody wore those.
Yeah.
But it's just funny to see the difference. And even Cody said, like, depending on region and even what branch you're in or whatever, like, it's going to be very different, throughout. So kind of cool.
Yeah. So is there anything else you guys want to touch on, talk about, reveal, etc. before we send this one out?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at Anti-Watch Club. That's you'll see a lot of content posted daily, a lot of reels posted daily because we have to analyze our metrics to be able to hit our demographics. Facebook, if you want to join, just join. We'll gladly accept anyone. If you want to check out our website, antiwatchclub.org, right, Zach? I don't even know our own. There you go.
Antiwatchclub.org.
Yep.
What merch we have? There's always things being dropped by Alex without Zach or I knowing, or anyone else really. So You never know what you might find on our website.
Yeah. There's always something. Yeah. Yeah, we do have we will be at some events coming up. Cody, what's the one in Georgia coming up?
So it's a kind of notice release party next week that I'll be attending. Not for our watch, but for another organization.
For another
watch.
one, yeah.
Cool.
I'll be there. We will be, Zac and I will both be at Wind Up in New York City this year.
In some capacity. I'm not sure. I have to talk to you about that later, but in some capacity we'll be there. I don't know if we're gonna have an actual setup, but we will be there. So
we'll be walking around.
For sure. Yeah.
Meeting people. May or may not have a booth, probably not this year because of finances, but definitely if you're there or in the area, we will be there, and you never know what you may get if you see slaps across the city and you take a picture with yourself in the slap. You never know what you may get in the receiving end.
We had last Wind Up. We did a
sticker, t-shirt.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it the last one, but we basically were running around the city, maybe putting stickers on everything and everywhere. And we basically threw on the Instagram, like, if you see one of our stickers, rip a selfie with it, and then, tell us where you're at, and we'll get you a challenge coin. And we met up with one dude, and it worked out. Like, he took a picture, he found a sticker of it with a selfie, and then we ended up linking up and gave him a coin. Just like funny shit like that. It was cool.
Yeah, it's hysterical.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we will be continuing that tradition.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we will see you guys at Wind Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll be there.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, tremendous cause. Definitely check them out. And best of luck. I mean, you guys are doing great work. You're snowballing in the right direction. Everything's coming up aces so far. So hopefully that'll continue. And hopefully when you guys are running like the badass version of Hodinky, you guys won't forget the little folks like us. And
right. We're gonna need someone to do the memes. So
that's right. That's right. So, yeah.
That's true. That is true. That's right up Bro's alley.
For sure. No, we appreciate you guys having us on. It's been fun, and it's always good to talk watches with not normal watch people. So that's cool.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And Schmitty, I guess we'll catch the folks next week, eh?
Yes, sir.
All right. Laters.
Later.
Sounds good.